Hello and welcome to another episode of Unfiltered Rugby League, hosted by Conor
and Shay
and Ricky.
This week we've managed to get Ricky back on for another episode. We increased by 450 subscribers last week, so thank you for all the subscribers that you brought. If you're not yet subscribed to the show, give us a like and subscribe, just helps to push us through across all of the Rugby League channels as well. Hopefully we can bring you some updates, a day later posting this week due to some illnesses, but Shay's backfiring this week. So we're going to look at back to all the fixtures from last weekend and then look at some news and updates for this week and ahead to next week's fixtures. We've got to start by talking about last Thursday night. York just narrowly missing out on a win away at Wigan. Wow, what a win that would have been.
It would have been unbelievable, wouldn't it? It would have been absolutely unbelievable to go there and get that. And I know I was shocked because we'd spoken everybody there, and they just came out of the traps, didn't they? Caught Wigan confidence.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it, to be honest.
Well, we've looked at it when we discussed it, and as more so you, but possibly I as well, have mentioned who's beating Wigan, and they came seriously close. I think possibly for other teams, they're looking at it now, especially like the likes of Warrington, maybe they're looking at it thinking, I did a job, surely we can. What were different about Wigan that night? Taking nothing away from York, what were different about them that they just didn't look like they had done for the previous 4 rounds plus Challenge Cup?
I think they've got too many men that miss it still. I think that eventually you can get through on the adrenaline for a couple of games. I think eventually that starts to tell, and that starts to take its toll on a squad and on young players and make it.
Well, the facts are there, aren't they? And the facts suggest that when them two don't play, especially French, they lose games. I'm sure their win rate was something like 50-something%.
I think French is the biggest one.
Yeah, he's the biggie. If he's not there, which they've said a 4-month layoff, I think, for him, Field's probably there and thereabouts returning, you'd like to think.
Looking at the back for Good Friday.
Well, that's what they'll be doing, they'll be trying to get him back for that, but the fact of the matter is they're going to be without French, and it's going to be interesting to see. You know, obviously they've got their fixture this weekend, but York were dangerously close, and you dare say for sort of 50-60 minutes of that game looked like they could win this.
But York have shown us in the early stages of the season that they'll take OKR, they'll go to FC and win. So they didn't get backed by Leeds when they played Leeds at Leeds, so they'll take on teams, and if you're not quite on your game, or if you're thinking, this is only York, then they'll sneak one.
Well, in the end, Wigan were victorious. They're still sitting pretty at the top of the table. Warrington, the only other team that's 100%, obviously a game still to play, but yeah, take nothing away from York that night, but Wigan might have had a little bit of a humbling there, despite still winning. I don't think they would have been happy with that one. I don't reckon.
I can't imagine the Wigan coaching staff being happy.
They must have been infiltrating on Friday. Got to have been.
You won't have a full weekend off.
Bad review day for them, I think. But yeah, they're going to no doubt have some trickier games coming up, and maybe we might have to start taking York seriously.
Nofalumas could start his York career on fire as well, and he's scoring tries for fun.
Well, I think he were written off, wasn't he? Obviously, he's gone to Salford, that didn't work out. He's ended up at Halifax. You think, he's just going to sit there, he'll be paid alright, and he's gone there, and he just seems to have started alright, doesn't he? He's scoring for fun.
Take a look at him and his track record, particularly in Australia, at West.
And then he had the really random sketch on loan, which doesn't normally happen, but he went to Storm, didn't he, on loan for like half a season or something, which were a bit of a weird one. But yeah, he started well, so yeah, if York can keep picking up players like him throughout the season, they'll not be too far away. Maybe surprise some more people. But moving on to Saints, obviously over in Toulouse, I think we were quite 50-50 on that one. Thinking obviously Saints' injury list, they've gone away and were 28-0 up at half time. 28-0 up. They just flew out the traps, didn't they? And Toulouse couldn't cope. I was pretty shocked, and we obviously watched the game. And what do you think, Ricky, to that one?
I thought they just came out of it. They just, again, it was one of them where it's similar to York. They just came out of the traps and just caught Toulouse cold, and Toulouse didn't know what to do. And Toulouse had no ball that first half.
No.
And no matter who you are, if you're at home with a party-led crowd behind you, if you haven't got the ball, you'll be scoring tries in.
I think positives for Toulouse, they beat them 16-2 essentially in the second half, didn't they? But
That was the big one.
yeah,
We've seen it over the years when teams have come up, they'll just give up half time in 28. Like they'll just give up, and then you end up seeing blowout scores. But I think this year all three teams that have come up are just giving it all to the end. I think it makes good for the game because that scoreline doesn't sound half as bad. If you haven't watched that game, you're thinking 30-16, thinking.
But they're competing as well.
Yeah.
and that's the thing. We watched the game, didn't we, and seen it. And you're looking, thinking they were like worlds apart, the two teams. Like you looked at the injury list Saints had, and I think a lot probably were thinking Toulouse would take a win there. And it's come out saying as well. I think Saints were nearly playing in the training vests at one point, weren't they? Because the luggage were lost or something. So. Yeah, no wonder the kit man were doing the team. So he's pulled some miracle off at some point, hasn't he? I don't know how, but you look at that, like you say, 30-16, and think, yeah, relatively close still, Toulouse, but Toulouse were nowhere near in that first half. It kind of looks to me a Saints in that mentality now of, right, let's get out in front. They did it to Cass as well the week before. Let's get out in front. We know in rugby league, 3 tries ahead. It's never too much to claw back, but it's easier to defend when you're 3 tries in front than 2 points.
The new rules as well make a massive difference. If you get a roll on within sort of the first five minutes, it can be extremely dangerous. And obviously I know we'll touch on it in other games, but this is why with the new rule changes, I disagree with going for 2 points straight away. So I just think if you've got the roll on and you tire them out, like we've seen how quick the game is, if the other team can't keep up, and you can keep putting on that sort of pressure. Like I said, when we come onto it, and Leeds did it again at Hull, and it backfired again. And I just thought, when you put that roll, just keep going.
Yeah.
Just try to tire them out.
Yeah, you've mentioned that a few times, haven't you? Now it's a bit of a strange when obviously take the 2 points when they're on offer, but yeah, Saints did seem to go with that. Got a few penalties back to back, and before you know it, they're over the line again. And yeah, I just want to touch on. There were a bit of a social media video that went out from Toulouse. Well, obviously Hastings going in the back room afterwards, and I think he's had a bit of jip for it, to be fair. It's all for the cameras and whatnot, but as we said, it was Toulouse that put it up. There's always been this thing about Hastings, aren't there, that, why is he in and out of clubs and all the rest of it? Didn't seem to settle at the NRL clubs, so he seemed to be loved over here by Salford, got his move away to Wigan, then he didn't really settle there, ends up back in NRL, back over here.
Were he
He's
captain
today?
today?
He's the captain at the minute, yeah.
So he's captain
Since
today.
round 1 he's been captain.
And he's gone in and presented a jersey to a lad who's making his 250th appearance for Toulouse. I don't have an issue with it at all. I think Saints have done. We've seen what we can do a lot of. We can do a lot of that sort of stuff. They'll leave a bottle of wine in the change rooms for someone who's making a milestone appearance. I don't have an issue with it. I think he's gone in and presented a shirt to.
Yeah. Which you expect the captain to do as well.
To Anthony.
Yeah, of course.
And he's the captain, so.
Yeah, I think probably some unfair jip online for him for that. But yeah, Wakefield and Leeds. Wakefield, I sort of expected with home advantage to take a win here. I don't think too much to write home about in that game, but again, Wakefield picking up another win, which is, again, we spoke about struggling maybe early on, but not saying they're hitting the heights of last season just yet, but they're ticking wins over, aren't they?
2 points is 2 points at this stage, and you don't win any trophies at this stage of the season, but you can lose a season. As probably what we're about to touch on.
Yeah.
Not too much to say. Is that Lee 4 on the bounce now? They've lost. Is it 4? Yeah, 4 on the bounce. Lost, I think.
Derek will be getting twitchy feet, won't he? He'll be getting twitchy feet. He puts a lot of his own money into that club.
Yeah.
For me, their biggest issue they've got is, I reckon he knows in his head, if I get shut at Adrian Lamb, well, who's following him out the door?
Oh.
By choice.
Yeah.
His son's going, isn't he?
I think the biggest one is for Lee, and I thought about this the other night. You look back to even last year and the year before, you looked at certain things, and I looked at the squad and I thought it were quite an underdog squad. So like, Gaz O'Brien in the halves or playing fullback and whatnot, and I think this is the first year that they've gone in with a full squad, and I thought that could be well up there, and obviously I did predict league leaders, and I think maybe that pressure of, obviously it's the last 2 seasons they've got into the semi-final. This season, big push, obviously they've got full squad, signed Adam Cook, and I don't think it's worked. They're nowhere near, the attacking fluidity is nothing compared to the last couple of years.
I think you look at it, they've lost a couple of key players as well, out the door.
O'Neill's gone, he went. McIntosh gone. There weren't loads, were there? But I think there's that unsettlement of the Trout thing. I don't think that's helped matters. Mullen, he's already going into the end of the season. Charlie's in there. Is that season too long?
And then the stuff on social media as well about players and personal lives and whatever.
That stuff before the season can't help. Star signings, getting loads of star signing. One of the star players last year is getting loads of early doors and they're getting rattled. I don't know. They have got some injuries, haven't they? In fairness, Offengawi, he's out at the moment. Still got Armstrong, needs to come back. You know, so you've got players, Hodgson's then going back. You're sort of looking at players there that they are missing. So possibly it's just a case that, like every other club, they're missing players, but I don't know. They've always, I think, struggled away at Wakefield anyway, so I wasn't massively shocked by that. But as you say, Derek's going to be getting a few twitchy feet, I think, at that point. But yeah, taking it away from Wakefield, good win for them. Bradford taking a win against Huddersfield.
I have some people who went to the game and they said it's quite possibly the worst game of rugby they've ever seen. And at one stage, Huddersfield were going to put a captain's challenge in, and the Huddersfield fans were begging them not to delay the game. They didn't want to delay any more. Yeah.
Get it over and done with.
Yeah, by all accounts, it won a great game.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Bradford they're ticking over with some wins nicely, aren't they? And we're going to come on to it playing Cast this weekend, but for them two teams, I'd say it were more must win for Huddersfield. But Bradford have took another home win there, and they'll be delighted, won't they? They've started well, they'll be happy. They'll be thinking 5 rounds in. I did 6 points, I think they are. 6 points.
We said it last week, they won't lose many at home because teams can't go around them because of the dimensions of that pitch. So you've got to go through them, and if they've got a solid middle, you are going through them.
And I've seen, there was a video that went out on social media and said, you know, Friday night's Oslo well and truly back, and guys, it genuinely looked pretty good. Like, they've obviously
another 10,000 there.
They've got the fireworks going off. I know it's very Beaumont-esque, like how he's trying to do things at Lee, but I'm here for all of it. Like, good.
Joking aside, all the promo on social media at the minute is all about Super League being 30 this weekend, and that's what Bradford were doing 30 years ago.
Yeah, I think it looks good. They're doing a good job at the minute. You can't fault them, can you? Similar to York, can't fault what they're doing. So long may that continue. I'm here for it. Bradford can get a good Bradford team there. One Club City, all that sort of stuff. It's
if they're averaging 10,000 crowds at the minute, and so far they've had Catalans at home, Toulouse at home, and Huddersfield at home, so you've had probably your 3 worst set of fans. They can only go up from it.
of course,
Play Wigan and things like that.
That's it.
Play Leeds next week.
Play Leeds, it's that you'd like to think that could be a 15,000 job because there's going to be more Bulls fans come out. They're going to be looking now thinking, you know, 2 weeks ago we seen them in Vegas, maybe not so much. They're looking now. They played them in pre-season, didn't they? It was a bit of a blowout, I think.
But again, it's also.
And they made another signing as well. The lad, I think, from the Dolphins, or it's Dolphins have signed another big boy they've got from there. So it's a good to York.
Sutton's unbelievable as well. I was surprised how well just with like a game time. I was just surprised.
Keep him fit. Yeah. He's an international player.
Good player. Massive blowout. Warrington Cass. I didn't expect anything. I think we said by 40 or something like that. Did I think it would be 70? No, not at all. It's not good that.
Yeah, looking at.
Let's be honest. I think.
Well, yeah, Castleford's squad. There's no reason they should be losing. I mean, I even said to you, even look at Salford last season. Even their scoreline wasn't as bad as that some weeks. And you're looking at that. Castleford more or less they had a strong enough team. I thought we predicted they were going to lose, but not that's a bad one. And I think Chris Chester, I know Ryan Carr's in there, but I think Chris Chester will be upstairs and thinking.
Scratching his head, well, thinking something's got to change.
Something's got to change quickly.
Them fans are going to be taking that.
No.
And I know they say it's a project and
because they've spent a lot of money.
It's going to take time, and we said they're spending more this year than whatever they did years before. So I've said it before. I think best thing for Cass, and I know it's a case of you don't know when you're coming back up, but best thing for them is going out, doing what Wake and OK had to do, stripping it right back. They are going to be the best of whatever's left.
The Cass did that a few 10, 15 years ago.
They did, yeah.
They got
in 2006, I think it was. Went down, came back up. Possibly need to say, they need to go down, readdress it, get rid of some of these players that are well overpaid. I'm sure they're all on relegation clause contracts as well for some of them players if they go down. Don't
Well,
they stay
if
on
their
the
agents
grass.
were worth any salt, considering the last couple of years, I'm glazed anyway.
I know we talked about Huddersfield and we didn't even touch on it there, but Robbo getting the sack, we did touch on, is he going to get the sack? And 5 days later he's been given the boot, and you know, we best touch on that. Who's going to replace him? Who knows? Cause
I would have said that Castleford have had a worse start than Huddersfield. I mean, you look at Huddersfield's squad. I mean, no manager, you could pick whichever manager to go in there for 2 weeks now, and I don't think they get a win over the next 2 weeks.
No.
Just be marked players that are out.
I think it goes even longer than that. I think you look at their fixtures over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
and
you want it tough.
They go to
Wigan.
They've got a Leeds in there. They've got.
I think you've got York in there as well.
the only thing that's going to help is they've got its cup in it, or is it 10th?
as well.
Yeah.
They're going to get a week off from the cup, which might help them get a couple of bodies back. But
The problem is for them now, they will have been looking at the start of the season, right, we just need to finish above the relegation, you know, the promoted teams. But York go there, and I think it's week after next, and York will be thinking, where can we in for this? So they can't even bank on them sort of fixtures anymore. They are really
like I say, it's where did they get a
As
win
a
from?
Giants fan, who do you want to come in?
Jesus. Is he about?
Well, it is Easter.
Well, if he can come and come down to them on Easter Sunday, I think they'll be buzzing with that. So yeah, someone's got to come in and fast, and again, it's a case of ripping it all back in. I think their only saving grace is the fact that they do have a lot of injuries, and I dare say more than Cass. If Cass actually got some more injuries, the worrying thing about Cass, what I'm seeing, is they're bringing in lads from Wigan, and yeah, they probably are going to be better than what they've got at Cass. But what does that say about their reserve system, academy system? Saints brought in four players. Saints had to come in that didn't even have a number.
But Cass used to be the elite, didn't it?
No, yeah. You think some players
that
that
come through from that Castleford area, and it used to be the elite breeding ground for players.
Well, that's what Matt Ellis has come out with and said, hasn't he, about Wakefield. He wants to be able to keep hold of these players, bring them through, and is he adamant that by 2030 he thinks they're winning the grand final? Do you think Chris Chester will come out and say by 2030 Castle winning the grand final?
It's hard to say. I always think, you know, with you, obviously you see it a lot with the Lancashire clubs. Lancashire clubs do take a fair few Yorkshire players on their intake, you know, every sort of year and that. But I always think, mate, I've always said it with Huddersfield Giants, the amount of lads that have come out from Halifax, Matty Nicholson or players like that, Tyler Dupree, there'd be lists and lists and lists of them that have all gone to Lancashire to go through the system. Why have
Robinson?
why have they not come through at Giants? Why surely Giants and scouts or that they should be set up to be like, they should be all playing for us.
Well, I know of one that's just finished in scholarship at Giants and he's gone to Wigan for their academy.
I know.
To be fair, I know one that's gone the other way, so I know one that's gone from Wigan to Giants.
I know 2 or 3 players who were let go by Giant scholarship, and then they went and immediately got deals at Bradford and Leeds and Wakefield. So it's like.
All I will say is I think the academy coming through, scholarship and academy, I know a lot have chose strangely to go to Giants over like the likes of Cass, Wakefield. So I think there's still that sort of thing, they're doing something right in terms of that pathway system coming through. As you say, I think sometimes it's not just holding them for the academy, it's beyond that. Yeah. You know, teams are obviously paying compensation fees and probably thinking, he's best one, we'll have him, and Giants are desperate to get some brass back in. Yeah. You know, you're sort of looking at the likes of, not Matt English, other one that's gone to Wigan, Oliver Wilson. You know, like, what's happening there? Yeah. Why is he going? Dare say, would he be getting less money going to Wigan?
Arguably.
He's gone there.
I did actually see it. It were one of the Giants fans actually put in their forum, like a side Huddersfield Giants team, you know, if they kept all the players, and like Jake Warren in centres.
And Will Price.
Will Price, George Flanagan. Jake Conor, McIntosh. You had Alex Mellon in back row. You had so many, all the props.
These players who they've all let go in the last 5 years.
It's strange, isn't it? I don't know where Huddersfield, but like I say, a story for another day to who could possibly replace him. But is there who's in charge this week?
Andy Kelly. Again, seems like he just gets it every time they let a bit with someone. But if you're looking around Super League, there's no one really who stands out.
I just don't know who's going to. I mean, you look at
Jamie Langley would probably be a standout, but I think he's nailed on to take over from Brad Arthur.
I would say so. I would say the way it's looking, I think he's highly rated from his time at Broncos as well. Very highly rated.
But he seems really settled down in London.
Yeah, I can't see that happening. I don't think he'll.
But then if you're looking abroad,
it's a gamble, isn't it?
Who wants to come over?
I don't think any overseas coach is looking at that thinking, yeah, I'll go over there, for 3 years, look good, and then I'll go come back.
Are you looking at someone who's in charge of like pathways, so like a Todd Carney or?
Yeah.
But
I don't know what they're going to do.
You don't know.
It's a poison chalice, that one, I think, because realistically, what you're going to do.
Until everything gets sorted, boardroom level, because they've had a bit of enough people in boardroom level this year. So unless boardroom level's sorted and unless that director of rugby's sorted and nailed on, who's making decisions?
I think they're just behind the scenes, not helping themselves. You dare say that Cass behind the scenes have got more sorted, if you like. Huddersfield just seems a lot of unsettlement. Yeah, and if you're a player, you're thinking, I don't fancy going there as well. So I don't think it's. In fairness, though, I think the Leeds lads that went on loan, I think they didn't do ourselves a disservice the other night. So, yeah, who knows with Huddersfield, but bottom line is, Cass and Huddersfield are in a whole world of trouble, and by the time they come round to play each other again, it might be that neither of them have had a win since Cass getting that win earlier on in the season. So, quickly touching on Catalan's win. Wow, what a win that was. I think I fancied them, to be fair, to get that win, but a bit of a stab in the dark, really.
Came back, but they just ran out of troops at Catalan.
Fair play to them, the threw ball around the end there and managed to. I reckon OKR probably thought they're going to chuck the ball about, they're going to settle for a golden point here. And
I couldn't believe it that Rovers went back down that far end.
I think that were a shocker.
But just keep on the ball, you know, drop a goal.
I think Broadbent had a one-way ticket to FC, didn't he, after that. It's gone a bit quiet, that one, I think, but I can see it because I think they're probably thinking, well, we've got Declan Murphy coming, we've got Arthur Moore to come back.
I think if they was both fit, then it'd be, chances of it happening already would be a lot higher than
strange.
I've got money to pay a transfer fee as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing you look at, like, you know, Giants now. I mean, if I'm Richie Myler and he'll know what sort of budget they've got going. I know cap-wise they might be pretty stacked up at the minute, but transfer fee is not a problem for them. You're looking at Huddersfield Giants, and they could pick a few troops from them, whether it be, you know, a prop or, you know, you've got George Flanagan. I know he's signed a new contract, but it means nothing. Someone can come up and pay a fee for him, and he'll be gone as well. So.
Exactly that, they'll be doing it. The Leeds have done it for years, haven't they? Been giving out 5-year deals and stuff, and if you want to go, they want to go. That's it. Whether you're captain or winning or whatever, you're off, whether it's an RL or somewhere. And then lastly, big win for FC, that. A very big win. I think me and you went Leeds in the end, I think, but you went FC. I just couldn't see anything. We both said that we were a bit sort of like underwhelmed by the start. Again, they've had injuries, but...
You see the post-match interview?
What with Brad Arthur? Well, a bit of an awkward one, wasn't it? Because they asked him as well, how do you think your son played?
Not great questioning though, was it?
No, it wasn't, because
no, is it?
You could tell he was getting irritated for initial, like, 3 or 4 questions, and you've gone, but your son played.
You've lost, mate. How do you think your son played?
Yeah.
What else are you saying to that?
Yeah, I do like how deadpan he is though. Whether he wins or whether he loses, he's just straight down.
Pretty Wayne Bennett-esque, isn't he? Like, not too much.
And to be fair, you could tell he were visibly frustrated and upset with that.
Which you could see, I think they showed it in changing rooms at half time as well. You could see him in changing rooms as well. Like, you weren't happy.
Well, they give 4 penalties away for dissent, which is an absolute coach killer. That
right under the sticks as well.
They got two dissent. Lockie Miller they'd already blown for dissent, and then he got another further 10 metres for dissent again. And it's just, it's coach killer that you're only behind 1 try, and you've let them just march up from there 10 or 20 to 40, and then they've kicked a touch, and I think they actually scored a set or 2 sets later, which is just. I can see why we're frustrated with that one.
But in fairness to FC, the nullified Conor absolutely
killed Marcus Uribe,
and the line speed was unbelievable. Yeah. So defensively,
they won on defence, on merit defence, didn't they? I think Leeds were a bit shocked by it, but it's a weird one, isn't it? It's the roller coaster rugby league, but Leeds have gone on the high of obviously that Vegas trip, thumping KR. You look at that thinking, well, KR are sat on 2 points at the minute, you know. In the scheme of things, but a great win at the time, but seem to have taken a lot of juice out of Leeds, and they've been struggling the last couple of weeks, haven't they?
But is that believing your own hype? Because we've got a lot of hype at the back end of it.
Well, he said that, didn't he? Right after us come out and said, openly said that. But I think it could have been them that because they just decimated KR over there, didn't they? Which I suppose they'll be looking at it thinking, well, he beat Brisbane the week before, whatnot. But yeah.
So humbling, isn't it? That's what it is.
To be fair though, everyone said it at the start of the season. A lot of outlets came out and said like KR are going to massively struggle. That time period of like the space of 3-4 weeks where they had to say go over to Catalan, the World Cup Challenge, Vegas trip.
You have to get up. You know what I mean? And eventually it's going to take its toll on players mentally. As well.
Well, after round 5, have we learned anything new? Any teams? Is there anyone that's making us think? I'm not sure about them now, or they've surprised us. They could be there and thereabouts. The cup fixtures. I think it's important to touch on the cup fixtures as well. They seem to have all coincidentally the big four missed each other. Do we read anything? Into that? Yeah, there's a curveball somewhere.
I think if you look at it, I think you've got your Castlefords and Huddersfields who we thought would probably struggle. I think all 3 new teams have probably surprised everyone.
Yeah,
no one expected them to perform like they did do. I think particularly Bradford. No one expected York to go as well. So I think they're probably above where everyone expected them to be.
It's a strange one because just likening it to see football, for example, 3 teams come up, which never happens really in Super League, but always happens in the Prem. There's generally a couple of teams that struggle, and then one might go on to do all right. Just saying Exhibit A being Sunderland this year. Could we see that in Super League this year? That one of them teams is going. I don't think all 3 of them are going to stick it out. I'll be honest. I think injuries will hit at some stage, but I also think teams will figure them out a little bit as well.
But I don't think any of them would be wooden spoons.
No.
I think Giants.
Do you think any could make it to a playoff position? Could any finish 7?
No, I don't think so.
If you're picking one, which one?
I could potentially see an 8th, but it just depends on other. Because at the end of the day, Lee, you look at Lee now and whatnot, they're not going to go like that forever.
I think if you're looking at one out of the 3, you're probably looking at Bradford. That playing at Odsal makes a massive difference, especially if you're playing for 10, 12, 15,000 fans. That makes a big difference.
I think it's going to be down to, like I say, to that. If they can get that going at Bradford, that's going to really help. But I think it's going to be down to like mid-season recruits. Who are they bringing in through the season? That's going to be sort of getting them over the line. Because they'll, as we spoke about at the start of the season, it's kind of a best of the rest, isn't it? Like we want to be best of the top 3 that come up, and then anything above that's a bonus. And right now, it's looking brilliant. But I think the good thing is, it's not like they're grinding out women's by drop balls and stuff. They're playing really good rugby. Like Bradford are playing good rugby. Like you can't fault them, can you, for what they're doing? York are taking it to them. To lose in that second half, we see they beat Saints 16-2 in that second half. You just don't know, do you? I'm just looking at your teams. We've said before, Wigan, is anyone going to come close to them? I don't know. Does that game against York, do we read anything into that? Warrington, they've put 70 points on Cass. Do we read anything into that? I think they're going to be in that top 2 spot.
Looking at it, I'm not sure they're the first team. They're the last team to put 70 points on Cass this year.
Cass would have done it.
Cass don't look like a team.
They look like other, don't they?
They look like 13 individuals who weren't even met each other before.
Well, they've picked up a couple of Wigan lads, haven't they? Which we know what Forbes all about. He's going to drop in and he's going to drop straight to 9, I think. They got rid of Chris Atkin this week, who's gone to Bradford. I know some Cass fans are looking at that thinking, what are we doing?
I think that's to make way.
But is that to get rid of one to bring in?
Well, it's to bring Forber in, isn't it? It's bring Forber in. They must have someone else lined up.
I think they've got 2 overseas lined up. But the problem is with overseas is they're going to be fringe players. But at the same time, they're probably not going to be wanting to come over. So they're going to be waiting, I'll just wait another couple of weeks, see if we've got a chance. And then obviously one's getting thrown around is Tyrell Sloan, obviously FC or Castleford. I do think we will see in the Super League this season. It just depends which.
That's a tough decision, that, isn't it? If you're an overseas player, do you want to go to Hull or do you want to go to Cass?
Well, let's just bring up Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. Big news today.
Yeah.
Allegedly on his way to Wakefield. It shocked me. I don't know about you lads, but I never imagined Roger Tuivasa-Sheck at Bellevue.
Yeah, but did anyone ever imagine Wally Lewis at Bellevue either?
No.
Let's hope he performs better than Wally Lewis.
It's a weird one though, isn't it? Because you're looking at it thinking, if he goes there, that could be one of the biggest Super League coups. And for those that saw him in his Roosters days,
where does he play?
well, this is where does that leave? He ain't coming over here to be on win.
To be fair, Max Jowett does struggle with injuries. I think as soon as Max Jowett's not playing, he definitely plays fullback.
But you're not bringing in Roger Chuvas-Shek just in case Max Jowett gets injured.
Well, Jowett's been out of favour for a couple of weeks as well. Are they seeing long term that he's not part of the plans?
Possibly.
And they want to go in a different direction. Jowett's been there for a long time now, and it's a case of you've been a good servant.
32 now?
32, 33.
So
Yeah.
34 next year. You're not signing him for long term, are you? You're signing him to put ones on seasons.
It reminds me a bit of Brent Webb signing for Leeds when he came over. Kind of back end. I know he went to Catalan afterwards, didn't he, as well?
You watch some trial games there, and he's still got a lot to offer still.
I tell you, wow, he was a good player. Scott Donald as well, and Ryan Hall, they had a good back three at that point.
He transformed the way the fullbacks played in this country.
Yeah, he probably did, to be fair, because he kind of went on the new side of like your Radlinski just finishing Wellens at the latter end of a career. Well, he still went to 2014 Wellens, didn't he? But still another 7 or 8 years after that. But
I just think extra half, wasn't he?
Yeah, I just think the two if they can get that over the line, that's massive. But that is the difference at the minute. If you're a Cass fan, you're thinking we're not signing.
3 years ago, Cass would have been in that conversation.
This is the thing, but you sort of look now, don't you? And a lot of the Cass fans are going back to 2017 from that grand final. That was nine years ago.
I think
It's not 2 years ago. That is
the signings that they made in this off season. Though you look at Jazz Tavega, obviously them two have played together.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
obviously,
Two
of us could have got that call. He's probably messaged him being like, bad, what's it like, bad, getting ins and outs, and he's been like, yeah, it's decent, like, I think it should come, which is massive compared to probably Waker just ringing him and him being like, and ahhing, and end up probably just saying no.
Good point.
Like,
I think Tavega's been massive.
So like,
whatever's gone on here, he's been massive. It's a connection of Samoa together.
So I think it's just signings all together. This recruitment that they're going through now, bigger, better players.
Now, I don't know this as a fact, but if they've got the same agent, then it makes that conversation so much easier.
Of course it does. You're looking now, aren't you?
We'll take Jazz this year.
Yeah.
With the view of getting Roger next year.
Because there's no one else in Super League. But Super League fans are not looking at Jazz today. They're going, unless you're a rugby league Iraqi, you're looking thinking, I don't really know much about him, to be fair. Whereas if you know your rugby, you know what you're getting with Jazz Tavega. He's come in and someone very smart, whether it's that Steve Mills or whoever that's looking at these players, that there is a possibility of that. A conversation's been had saying, look, get him over the line. He's a big person over there. Samoa, what can we then get from Samoa? They might be looking down the line thinking, well, it sounds ridiculous, but Jerome Luai, if they're looking at players, thinking, well, what's to say in 2029 after he's done another 3 years at Tigers? Could we get him over the line? And it's that sort of thing, innit? I don't know.
Going all the way back, they had that link to Willie coaching, didn't they? Who was Samoa?
Yeah.
So again.
Well, that when they got the likes of Tupu and stuff like that.
Even like look like that's a great signing, and it puts like Wakefield on the map. Like all of his mates now, like know he's plays for Wakefield. People that keeps in contact with back home, and then 3-4 years down the line, then Wakefield come knocking at the door for another player from Brisbane. And you're like, oh, I know Wakefield's. He said it really. He said it was classed out. Lads were brilliant. Like, I'll sign there.
Yeah.
So like, it is a massive knock-on effect when you do sign. Like Wakefield had never been in for smoother.
No.
3-4 years ago.
It's probably been overlooked or overlooked. Sorry, to that point. He's a massive. He's in the grand finals. He's there and he's coming over to Wakey. Like I say, he's put him on the map. I think to Shek, if that is happening, he's coming to play fullback. He ain't coming to sit on wing. There's no way he's coming to sit on the wing.
With respect to all the journalists in Rugby League at the minute, if Matthew Shaw's put it out on his social media, I would say that's 99%.
And I think that was some coup for them, massive. But for Max Jowett, I'm looking elsewhere because he's obviously not part of them plans. Yeah. And in fairness, we've spoken about it with Jowett before. I think he won't struggle to get a gig somewhere else. No. Let's be honest, he's dragged them through a lot at times. And
well, not only has he dragged them through, but he's a goal kicker as well.
Yeah, there's plenty of teams there that I think. What's to say the likes of, and the problem with Jowett is he's not your modern day fullback. He's very much old school. He's the Radlinski, Wellings-esque kind of player. Which is there still a place for that in the game?
I just think if they're looking at Shay, there will be conversations already with him, like, where do you want to play? And you never know, he could have got to that age now where he's, do I want that main role? It's going to be a short-term deal, whichever it is.
Might be winning a centre.
Possibly, he could be looking. He could even be looking at win at 7.
I just think if you Wakefield and you get rid of Max Jarrett for, say, Roger Tuivasa, Conor, max 2 years. I just think you're giving away a lot there. We spoke about it the day. I can't remember why I was on about it, but goal kicking's massive now.
Yeah, it is.
It's so big now, and I think it's bigger than it ever has been over the last sort of year, 2 years. You see, OKR, they've signed about 2 or 3 goal kickers since they didn't have one.
Yeah.
In Reece Martin, you know.
But you saw that when Michael Lewis said he's not a goal kicker.
Yeah, and
they need players to be able to kick if needed. So.
But we'll see. Exciting either way.
Definitely exciting just for Super League. You know,
yeah.
You sort of were looking at it and pulling all the things apart in Super League, but it's the likes of Matt Ellis that's keeping us alive at the minute. You know,
and he gets his headlines, not just here, he gets his headlines
over there
in Australia. So rather than of this, we're going to go by Super League, he's actually Super League going to win the trip. Coming back, Roger Tuivasa, Shay.
It's a weird one because Wakefield have been known to sign some, like say, Wally Lewis, but if you remember Kevin Locke back in the day, he was a big signing. Full-back for Warriors, and next minute we're over at Wakefield.
I think just all over.
Yeah, another one.
I think the problem they've had, they've done them sort of star signings, but rest of the team around it. Whereas you look now, and I think their squad as a whole, I think even with, like Tom Johnson's only just come back in, and he was standout the other week. But even look at it, they haven't they have missed him, but like it still seemed to be whereas before I went to Catalan, if they were missing Tom Johnson, you could just tell from a mile off, couldn't you? Or even any of the halves, like you've seen Jackson Field coming now, and his kicking year has been.
What I'd like Wakey to do more of is start, whilst they've got a pretty fully fit team at the minute, I think, bar a couple of players. I'd like to see them dropping in a few more forwards, forward, just like an Ellis Lingard. He's gone on loan, I think, hasn't he? He might have gone on loan somewhere with the Championship, but dropping these players in, because it's great to have a full 17, but that's a good time to get the likes of Lingard in. If there's a lad that's 18, 19 that's there and thereabouts ready, get him in. Even 20 minutes of a game. Start building some youngsters through. I think that's the problem they've had in the past, where they've had loads of injuries and they've had to throw some in, they're just not ready. Whereas this is what Wigan, Saints, Warrington Leeds do really well at getting these players in. So a bit of news on that Presley Cassell going over to FC. It's died down a bit, hasn't it, around, but it looks like whether it was.
I think by the sounds of it though, he could be heading there.
Well, I don't think smoke about fire, is there?
I don't think it's unknown, but I think there's really strong reports saying that he's going to be an OFC player at the coming end of the year. Whether they buy him, I know Leeds.
It's got to be big money.
I know. I don't see. The thing is, I don't know his contract. I don't know when he's off contract. He might be off contract. I do believe he signed an extension, but I think Leeds would cash in just because the fans would be happy. But Leeds have, for a fair few years now, for the last 3 years, they've been really tight on the salary cap of Leeds, surprisingly.
I think that might change though this year. We'll have a few players coming off.
Well, you've got.
Yeah, he's going to go.
He's Mike Steve.
He was on a 2-year one, so they might just see him out this year.
Lenski's going to Perth.
Yeah.
So it might be a case of Leeds keeping a few.
In that respect, you think keep hold of him, they need him, like what you're saying?
I think they need him in squad. I thought it would be a bit of a bold one for them to go try loading for the rest of the season, like they were going to ever see. I mean, only until I think, to be fair, he's already played this season. League games, so I don't think.
He played a lot last year as well. Back in the year, he was their young player of the year.
So.
Obviously, he's very highly rated, England captain as well in youth, I think. So he's.
I think if Arthur rates you, you'll get opportunities. And Leeds have always promoted.
Interesting how we go with that. Let's move on to this weekend's fixtures then. We'll fire through these. Big one Thursday night. I'm not being sarcastic, but it's a big 2 points.
It is.
Castleford to Bradford.
And again, it's a small pitch, so Bradford might like that. Coming off the back of it, I don't see Castleford getting a win anytime soon. I think really struggling. I know they're going to Wakefield over Easter as well.
I think they've got to Castleford, have got Ryan Carr's doing everything because I think, although I don't think they're necessarily going to get rid of him soon, I think they're going to have to allow time. I think they've spent a lot of money over the off-season, especially and outside the rugby league stuff, so I don't think they're going to be in a hurry to get rid of him, but pressure will soon start mounting because their squad isn't that bad. You look at compared to like Giants, I think it's massive for them, but I do think Bulls will come on.
They've got to win. I think Castle have got to win that game, and if they don't, I think they're getting beat at Easter. They're not beating Wakefield. They've got the week off afterwards because that's the cup. Again, 2 points. 2 points. Before the season started, and it's the hope that kills you, like we've said, the fans were beginning to build that connection again. I think they had high season ticket sales. It seemed to be kind of, players connecting up with the fans and what. It's quickly gone. And I know a lot of Cass fans that are.
I think there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes at Cass that people don't really see.
Well, let's be honest, to lose a game and then post a picture of AstroTurf outside. Is it the right time to be doing that?
Well, that's
fans don't care about that, do they?
I think that's the problem though. I think what they're trying to do, they're trying to counteract what the fans are seeing on the pitch.
What a horrible press release out the other week as well, didn't they? After they lost up to Wolves, they were like, there was no need to put that.
They're not helping themselves at times.
I think they get beat again.
I think they get beat.
Yeah, I think Bradford come away with a win there. I think it'll be closer. I don't think they'll run away with that. I think it'll be a close game, but I just think Bradford have too much for them. I think they're flying at the minute. I think Agate has got them playing some really good rugby, and like you say about Cass, they don't look like a team.
They look confidence.
They look like a team full of loanies, and that's
But
the
they're pretty
problem.
much hard, aren't they? I mean, every single. I mean, you've only got DeJean Arce in the start. Well, in squad number 1 to 13 that played there last. Oh, and Alex Mellon, sorry, that played there last year. And then obviously got Westerman off the bench. So.
I think the players are just not good enough. I think the players have signed. They're just not good enough.
The problem is, I think if you put say a few of the players that have signed, like the young New South Wales players, I think they are showing so much. So if you put say one of the centres, the Matter Plank, if you put him, if you send him to Wigan now and he does a cameo there, I think he'd look really well.
Yeah.
But what's hard is when you're in a losing team. You see it all the time.
There's no pressure on him if he's at Wigan, is there?
Yeah, it just makes you look. Then the whole team, you're terrible.
I think your job's simplified when you're at a bigger team. Your job's simplified because it's like a problem shared, problem half. They've all split the roles equally. At Cash, you've got players that are having to do so much. But let's be honest. So Tom Weaver signs for him. How many Cass fans know who Tom Weaver is?
Again, I think you only know him if you're a diehard Ajax.
And even that, I think some people won't even know him then.
He's got massive raps in, and he got massive raps coming through at NRL. To be fair,
I think he's taking a big gamble on them New South Wales.
100%.
As we know, Dejan Arce is on big money, and let's be honest, he ain't serving up, is
the thing is, it's hard though, because if you don't bring Tom Weaver in, who you bring in as your 7? There's no one out there. There's no English halves available, and the English halves that are available are demanding a hefty fee. So,
but they had one in Truman and let him go.
Yeah, I think it's just poor management, poor recruitment. But that is not just from this year. That is previous years.
I think you've got 5 years of poor recruitment that's resulting in what they've got now.
They went alright. 2018 they were sort of okay.
They were really Radford when they brought in some of those.
Really bad. The likes of with the lad from Fecky, Fecky from Cronulla. He was a bad one on big money. Bad injuries and stuff. Yeah, just had some really bad sidings.
You're relying on agents, and it might be the case of we want him.
Yeah.
But we'll take him in the meantime.
Yeah.
Just to get it over the line.
Exactly. Well, we're all going Bulls on that one.
Yeah.
A couple of big ones on a couple of good games Friday night actually. York against Wakefield. York are at home for this one. I think that could be really close. I'm going to throw it out there. I think that York win that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think I don't think the one game's Wakey, but I don't think they've been showing. The Leeds game was a big one. Leeds were largely in control for a lot of that game. Yeah, they got it over the line. York back at home didn't do too bad against Warrington when they played there. They weren't too far away. We've seen what Warrington have come up with in recent weeks. It's Wakey on the road, isn't it? I thought Wakey struggled at Giants, didn't they? We've seen how bad Giants are.
To be fair, I don't think they've been up to scratch anyway this season, but I think after a bit of a confident boost the last few weeks beating Leeds, so I'm going to go away Bill on that one.
I like what Wakey are doing. I think it's a bit of a 50-50. I'm going to go York on this one. Just a bit of home advantage. I think York will be on a lot of positives from that Wigan game last week. It'll take a lot of juice out of them. How good was the hooker, by the way? They brought him in from Newcastle Thunder or something. Is that Cook?
Oh,
York brought, yeah.
Through that partnership we've got.
Yeah, brought him in and he's flying. They'll be taking him on a permanent, I'm sure. I'll go York on that one. So York, Wakey. And then Hull KR v Saints. Well, it's a must win for KR. I think KR have got to win that
It was
game.
interesting. I didn't realise it, and I didn't click. It's the first home game they've had all year.
Well, it's going to be close to sell out, I think.
I think Saints win that game. Honestly, I can't see the way that Hull KR play. I know they're going to get up for it because they're back at home. Your tendency is going to be really high. They've had a good following all year round so far anyway, even after some performances. But I think Saints have a smell of blood going down there. I think Paul Roller he'll be looking at the game and being like, we also need to win that game. We need to go down there and win. And they'll probably look at it with the inconsistency of some other teams in the league. I think Paul Roller will probably be getting a bit excited and thinking we could really push for top 3. Even you look at some of the standard now in the inconsistencies.
A full car with firing. Saints are going there with a bit of a free hit really. They've struggled there recently. The past performances have not been great away at Hull KR. They got absolutely hammered last year there, besides the semi-final of the Fort Grand Final where they weren't too far away. They've got these injuries still at the line. I think they've got a couple of players. Just said Jake Burns, he's now out on a long term. He was out through HI last week. He's now out for 4 months with an ankle injury. So I don't know what's gone on there, whether it was part of the same thing or what. There's obviously something that's come to light. They've got Clark back. They've got Shorrops back this week. I'm liking what Clemmer's doing. Clemmer played 13 the other day and looked really good. Really good. I've been shocked with him, to be fair. We saw him, didn't we, at the Matty Lee's testimonial, and you said at the time, didn't you, like, he's coming to whack some players here, and I think he's just doing his job really well, but like you said, maybe Rowley's going to be saying they can smell a bit of blood here. They're going into the derby having won 6-7 on the bounce if they win this one, so I don't know. I feel like it could be a game too far for Saints.
I think I saw enough out of Rovers just in that 20 minutes in the second half that if they click against Saints, and especially at home.
What were Rovers' problem away at Catalan? I tell you what was a weird one. The defence.
I think it's all round just pure fatigue. We've seen it last year with the 2 teams that went to Vegas. I mean, we've seen it again now. The teams that went to Vegas and they had the World Club Challenge. They're just struggling now. Wigan did the exact same when they went to Vegas. They just struggled to get into groove of things when they got back.
Have they picked up a few injuries as well, KR, on the back of the car?
I think
Martin, is he out?
he did play.
Yeah, I think he's out longer term, I think, as well.
So, but I think there was enough there to think we'll get a home crowd behind them. First game at home of the season. They'll have all the stuff around having all 4 trophies on display.
They are the champions. Yeah, you're coming to the champions. It's our backyard.
Yeah, is as well.
That terracing end's going to be firing.
Yeah, I don't see past Rovers.
I think it's going to be a case of who can get out far enough first. And I think if Saints go 12-0 up, I think Saints win that game. It sounds obvious, but I think Saints win that game because I think the pressure's on there. Hull KR are in a new position of the pressure's on. We're the team now. Before it were them sort of chasing, if you like. Everyone's chasing them now. So they're dealing with Saints and Wigan and Leeds have dealt with that for years.
Yeah.
Being people chasing them, and every game you're playing Leeds away, it's a big game for the team.
If them forwards can lay a platform, then Tyrone May was going to Jesley on the back of it.
What do you reckon to he got pulled up for it? Bit of play acting. He's been pulled up for that one. Jesley. Twice apparently.
I think, well, the worst one.
To me, that strikes pressure's on.
The worst one for me was when the Catalan player went off injured and didn't come back on again, and the referee gave a penalty for him being involved in the ruck. He just rolled his ankle, literally his ankle had gone underneath his body, and the referee pulled him for it. And
You'd use it now, so that one, wouldn't you, really?
Yeah. So that was one of the things that he'd been pulled for. I think it's a 9 being a 9, isn't it?
Yeah, cheeky 9.
Trying to win an easy yardage penalty. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah.
He's not the first.
But it's like when they run into mark, isn't it? They know they're there, they know they're in the way.
He's not the first one to do it. He won't be the last one to do it. I mean, unsurprisingly.
Yeah. I think pressure's on for him, mate. I think Saints quite in front. I think they're struggling.
Saints have got to start well, though.
Yeah.
Saints have got to start well. So I do. If I start well and get a couple of tries with that home crowd. I think it'd be tough for Saints.
I don't fancy Saints
even if
chasing
it
the
stays
game.
as a bit of an arm wrestle, I still fancy Rovers to with their kicking game.
I'm going to go with Rovers just on the factor that I think it could just be a game too far for Saints. I think they did play really well last week, but are they going to go 28-0 up against Rovers? I can't see it. I think if they go 12-14-0 up against Rovers, I think they maybe could hold out. So I think, as I say, pressure's on. You saw what happened when pressure's on and they're chasing the game. Broadbent making a brain fart like that, throwing the ball away on first tackle when they're 40 metres out on Catalan's line.
But that was the game level. We're trying to win the game.
Yeah.
You going? Who are you going?
I'm going Saints. Man.
Saints. I'll go with Rovers. Flying into Saturday's fixtures. Could it be a BBC one this one again? I don't know. 3 o'clock kick-off. Hopefully streamed somewhere. Wigan and Huddersfield. I think less so about this game. You're hoping it's on Super League Plus, Super League Plus, channel 58. Yeah.
But yeah, Wigan on that one.
It's struggles this, is it? I think it's going to be a straight sweep, and Wigan will. I don't think Wigan are not winning by a point in this one. I think it could be a 40-50.
No matter how much you get new coach belts, it's still going to be.
Yeah, that's probably the worst one to come.
Yeah, that's the worst game. Leon to lose, evening kick-off Saturday night. Lear at home, I think, for this one.
I think it could be that game that turns at this.
I think Lear will win this.
I think we'll get another.
I'm going to go
If it were in France, I don't know if it would be.
I think I would as well.
But I think League.
We talk about must-wins. Is this a must-win for League?
I think it's a must-win, man. I said it to you, and even after the Saints game, I never got dealt with the first half. But Toulouse have got that ability to just score a try from wherever. Like they throw the ball at them. They never stop. And I think Lee's defence this year compared to previous years has been quite poor. The one-on-one defending has been abysmal. And I think Toulouse. I
think they've got a long week this week, but they've got time to fix a few.
I was saying, they've had a Friday fixture coming into a Saturday game. I think Lille will win that. I think it'll be close again. I can't see them flying out of it, but I think Lille will just be happy to get 2 points here. Get 2 points on the line. They're obviously really struggling at the minute. I think they're getting some bodies back as well, and I think Toulouse will be there. And I think they'll go with attitude of throw it about. They can't get caught cold, napping again, going 14-0 down. So I think they're just going to throw it about early and hope for best in this one. But I'll go with Leeds just, I reckon, by a try. Leeds and Warrington could be a good game this, because again, Leeds will be the pressure's on Leeds here. There's no. I'll throw it out there. I think Leeds win this one. I think Leeds win this one. I think this is going to be Warrington's biggest test so far. I know they played Saints early doors. I think Leeds on the back of what, losing two, 3 in a row. Lost to Wakey, didn't they?
Lost to Wakey, lost to
Hull last week. I'm going to go Leeds on this. I think Leeds will be a close one again, but I just think Leeds will take this. I think there's a lot of soul searching as well, because Brad Arthur came out and he says it's a humbling.
We need to get his act together. Scathing in his terms, wasn't he, really?
The only thing is,
and he wants all people to account.
his post-match interview though was very similar to the Wakefield one. That's the only thing that makes me quite sceptical. I know he pretty much seeding after the FC one, I think, probably because he focused on a lot of stuff that they didn't deliver. But yeah, I just think with his post-match interview at Wakefield, he wasn't happy with that one either. And to be fair, he came out with a bit of similar stuff. I
think he'll bring some changes.
Yeah.
I think he'll bring some changes.
There's a bit bad news. I think that George Brown, he's out for a bit, isn't he? Yeah, which is a shame.
I think one is to win that.
Well.
I think Irwin was unbelievable as well against Castleford. Got 40-20 there, kicked all of his, I think about 88% conversion there.
And a young half-back who could kick from where?
There was no way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to go Warrington on that one. I just think Warrington, the buzz is high. Mike Ashton's back. Obviously, he got hat-trick. Yeah, I think Leeds will be hurt after that. I think Seaville brought him down a peg or two, because he's probably just come over here thinking he's in his competition.
Yeah.
I'm scoring tries, defending everyone else.
But you target them.
Yeah, and I think Warrington will watch that and think, look, we just need to do the exact same. If you keep them pinned in, like you like some Mike Seaville and things like that, it was just been unbelievable coming out of that field. I think if you keep them pinned in, he's hard. Yeah, it's hard.
You've got Seaville, then you've got all charging at you, other way around. He's hard.
But I just think Jake.
They're their wingers and props ones.
Yeah, Jake Connor's kicking game has been a little bit off it the last 2 weeks. That been terrible, but you can almost sort of tell we were home and Wakefield will return the ball sort of thing. Yeah,
all I see with Leeds is, and I see it at the start of the season when people were tipping them top 2. For me, nothing really changed in their team. So there was nothing that suggested from last year that they would be a top 2 team. I think Brad Arthur signed another 1-year extension, which again, we're going to come round to May, June time, and it's going to be all the same stuff lingering around. They've got players leaving. I just think they're just going to be that jack-in-the-box team again that's going to get a great win 1 week, they'll beat Wigan at DW 1 week, and then they'll lose to York the next. I mean, that's the sort of team they are, and they've still got them kind of players. We spoke about Danny Levi there. He's one of them. Is he going to be the best 9 in the comp? For me, no. I think he's very similar to, I'm not saying Brad Dwyer, but how many good games did Brad Dwyer have, and then he'd have a stinker a couple of days later. So that's nothing against Brad Dwyer. I think he could still do a gig in Super League, but they're that sort of players that, where the likes of, I think when you look at Danny Walker, Daz Clark, Brad O'Neill, you know what you're getting week in, week out with them players. Whereas I think you still got this thing with Jake Conor, Danny Levi, Brodie Croft.
I can't. The Brodie Croft one's really frustrating because at Vegas it looked like
He looked like a beast, didn't he?
Obviously they're all put on.
It looked like he were on trial for NRL, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, and that's what's so frustrating because obviously when he came through over there, obviously everyone was saying it was next Cooper Croft,
Yeah.
and like you watched that Vegas game, you probably thought, right, this is why they were saying it, like running bowling, doing it, go, scoring tries, taking defenders on there. He's come back and he's just back to flat-footed. He's not taking the line on, not kicking. His kicking's been quite poor against all. I'm just thinking, what's going on here? And that's why I just think I
think they're a team of mavericks for me. I think they've got Jake Conor, Lockie Miller, Brodie Croft, Danny Levi. For me, they're 4 maverick players. They could win a game on a sixpence and they could lose it.
I think their forwards, they need to step up the game.
But I think again, they've got the likes of Oldroyd, Aledsky. He's never firing for me.
I was surprised with that NRL gig for him.
So inconsistent.
Yeah, I've never seen a full sit. Like sometimes you watch Aledsky and think he's unbelievable, but then
his sheer presence, I think is almost a misconception.
I think if they can get him firing as in fit, and
how long we said that for them?
But I think if they can get him athletic rather than just be a big one, then they'll get the best out of him.
Yeah, as we've just said there, well, I still think Leeds. I just think it's one of them games where Leeds don't lose many in a row before they win again. It'll be one of them where it's how bizarre. Warrington have won 70 points 1 week and they've lost to Leeds the next. I just think it'll be that sort of game.
It just comes down to consistency.
A lot of the time you fancy Leeds at Headingley, don't you? Just for the crowd and everything. They've obviously won opening 2 there, York and Cass, which has not been much of a test, but yeah, I'm just going to go Leeds on that one. And then lastly for the weekend, FC v Dragons. I don't think that'll be a game to write home about either, but
I hope it is because I'm covering it.
Well, it's, in fairness to Catalan, they've obviously got some good wins. They won away at Leigh. They won away at Leigh. They beat Rovers. So
I think it'd be a good game just because I think both teams will be looking at it as a winnable game. Both teams will be looking at it being like we want to win this. Neither team's going into that taking anything else but a win. So
Catalans have definitely lost 4 players from overnight,
which is a big thing for them. They have 2.
They've got Maguire who went over on his, so he's out if he's playing, and then Lewis got went down, who was a big loss.
Yeah, he seems to
start for the game. Is he out?
I suspect he might.
Yeah, he went down in like the first 5 minutes. He was heavily strapped, isn't he?
I think they brought him back for that game.
Yeah.
I think when he first did it, I think Tompkins said he was going to be out for a while. So we were a bit surprised to see him
back in it, yeah.
And then back in.
Has anything come out in media then?
He played really well as well.
He did play well.
Yeah.
Problem is when you're on one leg, well then again, Tompkins played on one leg for a while and won games for him.
So if he's missing as well, I think we're up against it.
I think that was a massive win for FC and could be a bit of a, not say a turning point, but they, put it this way, I was speaking to an FC fan the other day and he showed me a message from his dad, and the message went from day before that game against Leeds, it were, I'm not bothering for Derby, we could end up being crucified here, I can't take another drubbing from them, to 10 minutes later, I've got 2 tickets for Derby. And that's sort of that's rugby league roller coaster, isn't it? But I think FC will win this one against Dragons.
Yeah,
Dragons have had a couple of good wins, but again, a little bit like what I'm thinking with Saints, it could be a game too far with injuries and stuff. So
I think with the injuries, I think we're going to
go FC. See. Well, that rounds up as fixtures for this week. We've gone through a few bits and bobs. Next week, we'll see what happens. Maybe Roger Tuivasa-Sheck will be over the line, 5-year deal at Wakey. Stranger things have happened, haven't they? Maybe good for the game. We might get some updates, hopefully, on the NRL and what that looks like. Any insights, Ricky, before we close?
By the sounds of it, it looks like that Fernandez is quite headstrong and saying this is going to be a cut-off point, and if you don't agree to it, then we'll walk away. He's really keen on it. He's really keen on taking NRL games to London. So he loves London. Yeah. So really keen, whether that's Spurs, whether that's Wembley. He's really keen. Yeah. He's really keen on doing that. Really keen on the structure being right and having the same what the structure looks like. So having a commission like they have over in the NRL. But I think he won't, because they're putting in so much money. And I think the figures are banded around that we're going to get
terms by the sounds of it.
50 million a year, UK pounds rather than Aussie dollars. So it's more money than what Sky are paying, plus a TV deal, plus sponsorship deals, whatever comes into it. They're going to want a big say in what happens, and if the game over is continuing to be run by clubs, I think you're really struggling.
What's the issue then? What's causing this? Just quickly before we wrap up, what's causing this? What's stalling this?
I think it's we've had it for years, haven't we? The tail wagging the dog. I think we've had lots of opportunities in the past where people have wanted to come in, and then the so-called smaller clubs in Championship are concerned about what they're going to get out of it at the back end, and they're right to be concerned because it's their survival as well. And owners like at Batley have put in time, effort, money to get that club running to where it is. So there needs to be a future for them. They are still an equal saying as Wigan or Leeds, but you have to look at who brings money into the competition. And does Batley and Dewsbury entice a TV deal? No, probably not. Doesn't Wigan Saints or Wigan Warrington or Wigan Leeds bring traditional into the game? So I think they're looking. Fernandez, by the sounds of it, loves London, so London comes into Super League. Loves France, so you'd probably look at two teams staying in France, and the potential of a third one coming in at some stage, and he wants to say everything. But the way the game is at the minute,
no. I think it's a ball bust, isn't it? Yeah. That's what it's going to look like to me. I think they've got to make. But that takes us back to 13 years ago. Who's going to make this decision? Is it down to the Super League owners, or is it going to be a majority vote?
Ultimately, I think it's down to the RFL Council, which is every club who's playing at the minute. So it comes down to them, and Nigel Wood chairs that. So I'm pretty sure that Nigel Wood was saying what's happening and what's not happening. And then to have a chat over in Vegas, but Flanders was saying he's not particularly a big fan of Nigel. So where does that leave us as a sport?
I think it's alright. I know Matt Ellis came out and said he'd want to see in depth what it looked like for him. And I understand it for owners like himself because he's put a lot of money investment. You look at what he's done for Wakefield, it's been brilliant.
And he's helping the game.
There was Derek Beaumont for Lee, but then obviously looking at the flip side, these other clubs with owners, unfortunately, are not like them, so they're never going to succeed. Yeah. So that is the reason why, unfortunately, with Chris Lynchgate, I can tell you now he won't want this deal because it takes the control away from them.
Is there an element of that thing of, well, no, I control what's going on here?
There is, and that's you're going to be a stumbling block because there's going to be clubs like your Wigan, Wakefield, and Leighton and St Helens, whatnot. There's still going to be a lot of clubs that want to make their own decisions because it's their investment, it's their money. They haven't got like a massive board or anything like that. It's just the owners simply pumping cash into it.
At some stage, people have to realise that it's better to be a part of something, than to be part of something that has nothing.
Well, I'll give you a good analogy. This has happened over probably the last 10 years with schools, where schools, as you know, are all academised now, apart from some local authority schools that are still state and stand by themselves. But they are the last remaining ones to be taken in. And why do all these schools not want to be taken into an academy? It's because they want their own independence, and that's what it ultimately comes down to. But what is better long term? It's better sat in an academy, and you're stronger together as someone else. And it won't be that the complete independence is taken away. I think it's really short-sighted, as we spoke about. Really narrow-minded that that's the viewpoint that you would have.
If you've got 7 or 9 people on a commission who oversee all the decisions, you can have 4 seats on that. Who made up what Super League is saying?
Yeah.
You can have 4 seats from Australia, and then you have an appointed chair, whether that's Nigel, that's Peter, whoever that is, and they're the casting vote if it comes down to it.
I think it's one of those. Each club needs to see what it looks like, don't they? We're not going to be privy to the insides and outsides of the deal, but I think unfortunately it's going to have to go with them. I get it, but we need to take it. We need to take the deal. If 100%. Not, we're going to stay exactly where we are.
I love the NRL standard.
Yeah.
That's massive. But I just think we're going to see more and more clubs go bust over the years if this doesn't happen. I think Giants, for one, whilst Ken's there, that club's not going bust, but when Ken's not there, that's not profitable. That's nowhere near a profitable club by any stretch. So
it's all for the quid, won't it? And someone taking on loads of debt. That's probably what would happen. But who knows? And hopefully we'll get some answers soon. Maybe next week. Who knows? And then maybe we might even have an England coach by next week. Probably not. But we'll see. But thanks again, Shay, Ricky. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone that's watched, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Boost some viewing figures up. Thank you to Nova Coffee as always for hosting our podcast and supporting us as we go through the season. We'll see you all again next week. Cheers.